Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Suranjali Seal, and like I always say, if you are somebody that loves literature and is all about literature, then this is the channel for you. In our video today, we're going to talk about conceit and metaphysical conceit. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So let us have a look at the overview. What do we actually mean by conceit and metaphysical conceit? This is just an overview and introduction, and then of course we're going to discuss everything in detail. So in literature, a conceit is an elaborate and often fanciful comparison between seemingly dissimilar things, often employing metaphor, simile, hyperbole, or oxymoron. So I've already discussed simile, metaphor, hyperbole, and oxymoron in detail in my other videos. So if you haven't checked those out yet, make sure you do so. So here we are just going to dissect and choose the keywords, okay, that have been highlighted here. What are the keywords? So conceit is an elaborate and often fanciful comparison. So metaphor is also a comparison. Simile is also a comparison. Hyperbole also. Oxymoron also. It's about dissimilar things being put together. It's a comparison. And conceit in general, conceit, the meaning or the conceit involves comparisons between what? It's a fanciful comparison. It's an elaborate, extended comparison between what? Seemingly dissimilar things. Seemingly things that are not related to each other. You compare the two things to give an effect, to create the desired effect in the audience. Now, to create a conceit, you can employ or you can use metaphor, simile, hyperbole, or oxymoron. So, see, okay, I'll just give an example. You can say my love is like a red rose, and you can say my love is a red rose, right? Metaphor and simile. What you are doing over here is you're using the comparison between your love and the red rose to actually highlight to the audience how much you love the person. What kind of love is yours? You say my love is like a red rose, or my love is a red rose. You're comparing dissimilar things. Now, this is just in a line. Suppose you extend this. Suppose you keep talking about this metaphor or this simile of the red rose. You kind of talk about it in one line or two lines or in one full stanza. You keep using, you extend this metaphor, it becomes a conceit. Now, how is it very different from a metaphysical conceit? A conceit is a broader term. A broader term where you're talking about dissimilar things. Remember in my fable allegory video, I told you in parable video that allegory is a broader term. Under it you have specific type of allegories, which are fables and parables. Similarly, conceit is a broader term, comparison between different things. You also use simile, metaphor, hyperbole, and oxymoron to create conceits. Now, you have specific type of conceits which are known as metaphysical conceits. Okay, so what are metaphysical conceits? A metaphysical conceit is a specific type of conceit. So you see, conceit is a general term. Metaphysical conceit is under conceit, or it's a type of conceit that is particularly complex and intellectually stimulating. So what is the difference? It's a fanciful, elaborate comparison between different things, right? Conceit. A conceit is a fanciful comparison between different things. A metaphysical conceit is a comparison between different things, but it is intellectually stimulating. It makes you think. It perplexes you. It sometimes shocks you when you read metaphysical poetry, when you read the metaphysical, about the metaphysical poets, when you read the poems written by these poets also. There are many elements in the poem that will make you think, that will make you question, that will shock you even. Sometimes there are comparisons between things that don't make sense only. For example, if I'm not mistaken, John Donne's poem The Flea, in The Flea he talks about, say, it is an extended metaphor. It's a metaphysical conceit, this poem, right? It's a metaphysical poem where he explores the themes of love, sexual union, and also social norms by comparing his love and the flea. I mean, he's talking about his love and he's comparing it to a flea. He's talking to the flea and he says that you suck the blood from my body, and you know that blood is in the flea. Then you go and suck the blood from the lover's body, and in the flea itself both the blood will mix. Okay, this union between the two lovers will happen within the flea. Now when you think about it, it's mind boggling, right? What kind of an image is he even using? But that's the thing about metaphysical conceits. It makes you question, it makes you uncomfortable, it's unconventional, and it's intellectually stimulating. That is, it's complex, very hard to understand. You have to question and decode every line to understand the comparison between the things. So it's not just you're comparing your love and the red rose anymore. It's abstract ideas, out of the box thinking that is happening over here, and spiritual, often surprising and unconventional analogies. So I hope that this overview is done. We're going to look at what does conceit actually mean. Then we're going to look at the characteristics of metaphysical conceit. So what is a conceit? It is a literary device that uses a striking, often extended comparison between two dissimilar things. Clear? The comparison is often more clever or imaginative than it is accurate or realistic. So in realistic terms, when you compare two things, like just for example, you have hot and cold, bitter and sweet. Okay, they're not related to each other, okay, but you can understand hot and cold, bitter, sweet comparisons. But imagine talking about your love as a red rose. You're talking about your smile as the sun, as bright as the sun, or your face is like a daisy's or sunflowers. Your perfume is like that of a rose. You smell like the roses. You smell like flowers. So, these are the kind of analogies that you're using here. These are conceits, okay? You're employing metaphor and similes and oxymorons and hyperboles to actually create a conceit. But when you come to metaphysical conceit, again, it's dissimilar things. In conceit, it's imaginative. Metaphysical conceit is out of the box, unconventional, complex, intellectually stimulating. Conceit does not have to be complex, but it does elaborately compare dissimilar things, and it does not compare things that make sense, like hot and cold, bitter and sweet. No, it makes comparisons between things that are more imaginative, more abstract. So it does not focus on the real. It does not focus on accuracy or realistic. It focuses on clever or the imaginative. Because the goal is to make you think. So in a conceit, you have to remember, conceit is a broader term where you use all of these metaphors, similes and hyperbole, oxymoron to create an analogy between or a comparison between dissimilar things. So it makes you think, no doubt. Even conceit also makes you think. The point of a conceit is not realistic or accuracy, like you're not talking about say hot and cold. You cannot wait like that. It's not about accuracy, it's about imagination. Like your love is like a red rose. That's imaginative. That's clever, right? But a metaphysical conceit is a type of conceit. Which is even more complex. For example, like I said, you use the flea. Okay, a mosquito, so to say. You use the image of a flea, the characteristic of a flea, and then you compare your love and your union with your lover with that flea. You're using that flea for this analogy. Then there's another example I'll give, the sun rising also. The sun rising also, when the sun rises, it's a cue for us human beings that wake up, a new day is beginning. But here, I think it's John Donne's poem itself. I might be mistaken, but it must be John Donne's poem itself, The Sun Rising. So in The Sun Rising also, the poet is saying that I am not going to listen to the conventionalities of the sun. I'm not going to look at whatever the conventional things the sun expects us to do. Why is the sun entering through my windows and the space between the doors and the walls? Why are you disturbing me and my lover? He's questioning the sun. He does not want to surrender to the authority of the sun. He personifies the sun and he questions the sun, and he says that even though you're rising, I'm going to lay on my bed the whole day. So it's like these kind of analogies that make it clever, that make it imaginative, that make it even more intellectually stimulating. That's a metaphysical conceit. So it is not just about my love is like a red rose, your smile is like a daisy's, or your smile is like summer. It's not like that anymore. It's a little bit more complex. So this is what a metaphysical, we'll get to the detailed differences. So a conceit comparison is more clever, imaginative than accurate or realistic. It can involve various figures of speech like metaphors, simile, hyperbole, or oxymoron. Examples can be found in various periods and styles of literature, including Petrarchan conceits. Okay, so a conceit from the Latin means, it's a Latin word which means a concept or idea. Latin conceptus, okay, conceptus, it means concept or idea, is an elaborate extended metaphor. So you're using a metaphor and you're extending it. Like I said, it's not just bittersweet goodbye anymore. You're extending it over a paragraph. You're continuing with the conceit. It will go on and on. So it's an extended metaphor or simile that makes a comparison between two very dissimilar things. The comparison often runs through a significant part of a poem or even an entire poem. So we have poems that have conceit. John Donne's is a conceit. All these, Sun Rising, The Flea is a conceit. But why is it called metaphysical conceit? That's what we have to answer. Like, the conceit is an extended metaphor. Conceit talks about dissimilar things. A conceit talks about mentally stimulating ideas, unconventional analogies. What does metaphysical mean? Conceit, we got dissimilar things. What do we actually mean by metaphysical? That's what we have to answer. So first we look at the general characteristics of a conceit. Extended comparison. It is not a simple, brief metaphor, but one that is developed and sustained over several lines or stanzas. Extended metaphor. It goes on and on and on. Then you have dissimilarity. The two things being compared are often quite different from each other. Your love and the red rose, or say your smile and the sun. Like that. They're not related to each other, but you compared it that way. Often ingenious, very clever and imaginative. It demonstrates the poet's wit and creativity in finding unexpected connections. So again, I'm saying conceit is a broader term. Metaphysical conceit is a particular type of conceit. What does conceit mean? It means it compares two dissimilar things. Abstract ideas, anything, objects can be compared together using simile, metaphor, oxymoron, or hyperbole. Now, what is metaphysical conceit? Metaphysical conceit is also a conceit where you compare different things, but it is more intellectual, more mentally stimulating, intellectually stimulating. It's abstract, spiritual, unconventional. So we have to understand, what does metaphysical mean? If you understand what metaphysical means, you'll get the whole idea of metaphysical poetry. So let's just move on to that. So, metaphysical conceit. A metaphysical conceit is a highly intellectual and often startling type of conceit. Like I said, the flea. What is John Donne saying? That the flea will suck the blood from his body and then go and suck the blood from his lover's body. And even though in reality, physically, they're not being able to have this sexual union, their blood will mix in the flea. And that's how these two characters, or these two individuals, are going to unite. So, sometimes you can't even make sense of what he's saying. Does it even make sense? It doesn't, right? So the metaphysical conceit is highly intellectual and often startling. It's shocking, it's unconventional, and it makes you question things. What does the poet actually mean? Predominantly associated with the 17th century metaphysical poets like John Donne, George Herbert, and Andrew Marvell. So it goes beyond mere descriptive comparison. Like I said, just descriptive comparison is not enough. It goes on and on and on, often making unconventional analogies. So the term metaphysical comes from the Greek words meta, meaning after or beyond, and physica, meaning physics or things of nature. So it is beyond nature. So when you come to conceit, it can be things that we are familiar with, things that make sense to us somehow. My love is like a red rose, okay? Makes sense to us. It's simple. It's a metaphor, a simile. You're employing these things to generate comparisons between dissimilar things. It's balanced, so to say. It's understandable. But when you come to metaphysical conceit, it's beyond nature. It's beyond metaphysical, so that is beyond nature. And it was originally used as a title for a collection of Aristotle's writings, specifically those that come after his work on physics. So these writings explored concepts beyond the physical world. So you are going going beyond the set norms. You're going beyond the things that are realistic. You're going beyond things that are accurate. You're making unconventional analogies. So a metaphysical, dealing with fundamental questions about being, reality, and knowledge. A metaphysical conceit is called that because it is a type of literary device, specifically a type of metaphor used by metaphysical poets to create elaborate and unexpected comparisons between seemingly dissimilar things. The metaphysical part refers to the philosophical and abstract nature of the comparison. Like I said, abstract nature of the comparison, and it's very, very philosophical. That is, it makes us think. It's not just on the surface. You have to dig a little deep to understand what does the poet actually intend to convey to us readers. So part refers to the philosophical and abstract nature of the comparison, often exploring complex ideas about love, religion, and the human condition, while conceit signifies the unusual and often shocking nature of the comparison. So it's not that you're just comparing dissimilar things. It's not just this and this is not similar, so I'll compare it. No, you're actually employing conceit. Okay, you're using a metaphor, an extended metaphor. You're comparing, you're employing conceit, okay? And conceit in general means that it is fanciful, often fanciful and elaborate comparison between two dissimilar things. So you're elaborately comparing dissimilar things. That's a conceit. Metaphysical over here would mean the abstract, unconventional. Metaphysical over here would be questioning the human condition, would be unusual and often shocking type of comparisons. It is loud, it is out of the box, it is something that when you read it once, maybe laymen will not be able to understand. You'll have to dig a little deeper to actually grasp the meaning of the poem or the meaning of the work. So that this is what metaphysical actually means. So what are the key similarities and dissimilarities of a metaphysical conceit? First, intellectual and analytical. Unlike the more emotional or descriptive Petrarchan conceit, the metaphysical conceit is driven by intellect and argument. So it's intellect and argument. When you'll be reading The Sun Rising, it's an argument, it's a proposal. He's telling the sun that why the sun should not bother him. He's telling the sun why he questions the authority of the sun, that he's going to do what he and his lover intend to do. Even if it means laying in bed the whole day, they're going to lay in bed the whole day. They're questioning the conventional things in life. Okay, so it is driven by intellect and argument. It often explores complex philosophical, spiritual, and psychological ideas. So it's more complex. Then extreme dissimilarity. The things compared are often strikingly incongruous and drawn from vastly different spheres of knowledge: science, theology, philosophy, everyday life, and the abstract. So when you're talking about metaphysical conceit, it's not just simple. You actually can draw comparisons from all walks of life. It can be philosophy, it can be science, anything, but it's just more complex. That's what we're talking about. So, surprising and shocking, the comparison is designed to surprise, jolt, and intellectually challenge the reader, forcing them to see connections they never would have imagined. So, would you, in your right mind, or as in your day-to-day life, would have ever imagined this analogy between love and a flea, a mosquito? No, right? But that's what John Donne does in his poem, The Flea. And the analogies make us think, the analogies actually make us see his intellectual prowess and how far he was going with it, okay, when we read The Flea. And he does it phenomenally, and he does it so well. When you read The Flea, you actually somehow it makes sense to you once you grasp the idea of the poem. Similarly, The Sun Rising also will make sense to you. So it's like that. Then even I think it was Andrew Marvell's To His Coy Mistress. If you read that also, it will make sense to you. There's so many analogies that he talks about in that poem also, but it makes sense in the end. And that's why these have stood the test of time, and we continue to study them even today. So although they are jolting, although they're surprising and they're out of the box, they still make sense and they still have an impact on the audience. So this is what we have done: extended and elaborate argument. I have stressed this a lot, that a metaphysical conceit isn't just a comparison. it often forms the basis of a sustained argument or exploration. So when you read to his coy mistress also, you will see that he's trying to, coax or convince his mistress. It's an argument. The whole poem is an argument. It's his side. He's placing his argument to his coy mistress. So this is what it is about, and exploration of a theme throughout the poem. The poet reasons through the implications of the comparison, combines thought and feeling. So despite its intellectual nature, a metaphysical conceit often fuses intellectual thought with intense emotion. So you see the flea, like I said, you have all these intellectual out of the box things going on where you have to make sense of what the poem is saying, a poet is saying in every line. But apart from that also, he has this feeling. All of those words are coming out because he's trying to, make a case to his lover, to his coy mistress also. So many analogies. But he's trying to appeal to his coy mistress. When you talk about the sun rising, it's an argument. He's talking about of the sun rising and sort of infiltrating everybody's life in the morning. He sees the sun's authority and is annoyed by it. He does not like the sun's authority. Okay, but that emotion is there. Why does he not like the sun's authority? He explains in that poem. Okay, so that is what it is. There's intellect, but there's also emotion. And then creating a complex and unified experience, unconventional imagery. This I'm not going to explain, I'm just going to read because this is what conceit is all about. Unconventional imagery. Unconventional imagery, it uses common, sometimes even unpoetic or crude objects and phenomena to illuminate profound concepts rather than relying on conventionality, beautiful or romantic imagery. Often draws from specialized knowledge, comparisons might involve geometry, navigation, alchemy, law, or theological doctrine, reflecting the poet's erudition. So the thing is over here that you're showing your intellect. How you're going to show your knowledge is when you actually draw analogies from different like, for example, in To His Coy Mistress, Andrew Marvell is trying to coax his lover or coax the person he loves, right? Or his person of interest, this person he has a love interest, okay, his love interest. He's trying to coax her to enjoy the pleasures of life before death. Okay, he's trying to convince her to surrender to the pleasures of life. So the whole poem begins with, had we but world enough and time. If we would have had so much time, like time was unlimited, then this would happen. But we do not have this much. Time's winged chariot is hurrying near. That's what he's saying. So he's talking about time, he's talking about philosophical things, he's talking about love. So you see what I'm trying to tell you over here, that when you read metaphysical poetry, not only is it enjoyable, not only is it out of the box and very interesting to read, it is also filled with knowledge. It is also filled with comparisons that draw from different sectors. You can have from navigation, alchemy, geometry. Like here I'm talking about time and space. I'm talking about, say, you can talk about anything, geography, you can talk about alchemy, law, anything. You bring two things together or two subjects together, two knowledge systems together to create a comparison, and that's why it's intellectually stimulating. So this is the difference, or the relation rather. There's no difference as such. The relation between a conceit and a metaphysical conceit. A conceit is an overall term, comparison between, or elaborate or often fanciful comparison between two dissimilar things, employing metaphor, simile, oxymoron, and hyperbole. And a simile on the other hand, a metaphysical conceit on the other hand focuses on the abstract. It's an elaborate metaphor, it is a conceit, dissimilar things, but it is more striking, more jolting, it is more intellectually stimulating, and it draws from different concepts, highlighting the poet's knowledge, and it is also extended, it is surprising and shocking. So this is what conceit and metaphysical conceit is all about. So I hope that this video has been of help to you, and if it has, then please consider liking the video, sharing the video, and subscribing to my channel for similar content. And till we meet again, I really hope that you stay healthy and happy. See you in the next one, guys.